I'm fearless. 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 Hey. I'm fearless.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day. Welcome back wherever you are. Welcome. I'm Mike Michigan, and this is I'm from the Zoo. I've got my co-host.
B-Dub.
What's happening, fam? How you doing today?
And one day at a time, Mike Mish.
Hey, every day is one day at a time, man. Man, where are you from, my brother?
From the zoo.
Man, I'm from the Zoo too, man. Hey, we want to thank everybody for being here. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're choosing to be with us, whether you're on Spotify, Facebook, or YouTube. Man, we have a terrific guest today, man. But before we get into it, man, what's going on in the world right now, Dub?
Man, it's a lot going on. We got the P. Diddy stuff. We got the wars going on. We got all kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, man, it's got a lot, man. This is our 25th episode, man, and we have a very dynamic and wonderful guest. We're gonna learn some excellent, not only excellent information, man, we're gonna learn some powerful information today. You know what I'm talking about, Dub?
Ain't never too old to learn nothing, right?
Never too old to learn something, especially with the education, man. That's important. You know what? Without further ado, we would like to bring in Miss Ida Byrd-Hill.
All right.
Good morning, Miss
Hey
Hill. How are
guys,
you? How are you?
I'm fabulous and you.
I am fabulously awesome as well. I thank you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We are so welcome. Hey, so what we like to do, we like to ask our guests right off the bat. We like to ask you, where are you from?
I am actually I live in Detroit.
Right. I know.
All right.
Were you originally from Detroit or are you originally from somewhere else?
No, I'm originally from Flint, Michigan.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Rick, what's up? Shouts out to our Flint, Michigan folks and things like that. You know, we've got we have one of our guests, my first grade teacher, Vicky Wood, was also from Flint, and I'm very fond of Flint. Both of us are from Kalamazoo originally, and that
Oh
was like
wow, so you from the zoo.
that's
From
where
the
that's what it's
zoo.
all about. Yeah, we from the zoo for real. So we're very happy to have a Michigander here. So tell us, what school did you go to when you grew up in Flint? Where did you grow up? Tell us about your background.
Flint Northwestern. Flint
Okay,
Northwestern.
okay. So that would have been now. Was that Andre Rison? Was that
Yeah, all them. Glenn Rice,
No, that was
Rising
Jeff
on.
Grayer and Glenn Rice.
come on,
Yeah.
talk about being in high school when you had the High Flyers, the state championship basketball, NBA future people in your school, in your hometown, Flint City. Talk about it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that they both owed their college career to me because I helped get them to college. I
Let's
tutored them
talk about it. Come
in
on
high
now.
school.
Come on, talk about it. Let's bring it back.
So they should have cut me a check
Come on now.
when they went pro.
I'm gonna have to say this
Uh,
this show is sponsored by Mountain Dew because we from the zoo. Let's go. Talk about how you say so you must have known these guys for a long time and you recruited. So you saying you was the first person to put the big three together, was what you're saying
Yeah, I tutored them so they could make it through high school to get to college.
about
that's
that.
right. The
Yeah,
most important.
Bless your heart. We know. Now listen, now Miss Hill, we I wanted to tell you that, you are a fabulous educator. And this is a very powerful woman, ladies and gentlemen, that we have here, that we have the privilege to have on the show. Now, and we're gonna get there, but we're gonna slowly get there. The reason why I wanted to talk about, Flint, could you share with us? Because we both were athletes in high school. And that was really important. And we were student athletes. So you said the most important thing right there is that you had tutored them and you got them together. And then they got together and they won the state championships. And you say they didn't cut you a check, but I'm sure that they still are very thankful to you to this day, correct?
No.
She said she ain't heard nothing
Let's
from
talk
him.
real turkey. People do not value academics. And even though you have the NCAA rules that is academic to get you to college, people don't value that.
Right.
And the Black community in general has never valued that. Even the people who benefited from it. And I joke, and I'm really very serious. I tutored both of them in
Mhm.
order to get them to get to college.
I
So you
believe
would think the first person you would have gave tickets to when you got to college is the person who helped get you there.
that's
But
true.
because the Black community does not value academics, you
Right.
see it everywhere. It's not just in the general community, it's even in the sports. In order to go to the NAACP, you have to meet academic rules. And
Right.
there's a whole team that gets people to them. And oftentimes, very rarely do those athletes ever reach back to those people who help make their life happen.
Okay. Well, you know what? Luckily today for you, you have met somebody that's on screen that has done that. I actually come from a family that, extremely like education is important. I come from a family that has doctors, lawyers. My
Hmm.
cousin is a military surgeon. He leads it right now. I have another cousin that's a lawyer in New York City, and her husband is a bank financial master. My uncle Sonny, John Bankston, is an extraordinary artist in this world and dynamic. So I think what you said is important, but I think it might be an individual basis because some Black families do value the education seriously. And my family is one of those. My mom was a teacher. She went on and got her master's. My aunt Joanne was a doctor. When they had that incident in Chicago, when they had that first kids were shooting in schools, my aunt Joanne, Dr. Mixon McKay, was there. My grandmother's, she went to college. My great grandfather's in the military. So my family, my brothers, my sister, my father, my God, my father is extraordinarily a genius. So I think, that is an education is a must. It's a generational thing. So it's not just, not everybody. I wish that more Black people and families were strong like my family was, because the education is definitely a pillar in my family. We wouldn't have been able to get there. Myself, I'm talking too much, but I went to 5 different colleges. I didn't graduate yet, but I went to 5 of them. And when you were talking about reaching back, I had quite a few, and Dub did too because he had his coach on show, Coach Shuba Baruti. Shouts out to Coach, and he gave shouts out to them and gave back. And I've had some educators that have been terrific in my journey. But you're right though. People should get back to people especially when they tutored them and they helped them out and they helped them get it. And you're right though, we don't value as a whole, as a general, as a people, we may be looked down, and statistics will show that we don't value education like we are.
But
And
now just imagine though, if she
yeah,
wouldn't have tutored them kids, or she would have had
come
some
on now.
envious. They probably would have never made it.
They
You know
would
what
they
I mean?
wouldn't even know who it is. Yeah, now you know what I wanted to say about that, because when we were coming up in Kalamazoo, we had great athletes, but you just said it though. It was the education. It was the not going to, now let's keep it frank, like you just said, we're gonna keep it real. Um, it was the fact that some people couldn't get to the other side because of the education things. And then, like you said, you had certain families that were strong that made sure that they got it. Because that SAT score and those
It
props
was biased. It was
it was
biased.
hard. And those tests was hard, Doug, weren't they? They were terrible. I mean, even you could be smart and not get past some of those tests. You
You would
know,
have to start off.
And,
You would have to start off at geometry or something like that when you was a freshman. Anything up under
definitely
that,
did.
you
But you
learn
know what?
something.
You can still be good in school and still fail to take the tests. You know what I'm
Now, Miss
saying?
Bird, how did that make you feel by I know it had to make you feel a certain way because I mean you played a real important, mainly the important part to get him through so he can shine in sports and do whatever. So do you feel a certain kind of way about that when you think about it at
You know,
times, or you just say God's work
actually,
and just
not
keep it moving?
probably not now, but then I did because I also am a U of M alumni.
Yes.
So to see them at the university and then you didn't even speak. And I remember one time with Glenn, we were at a party and he actually made me very mad. And I went up to talk to him. He acted like he didn't know who I am. And I had to
He
call
probably
him out
didn't.
at the party. I was like, I don't know how you don't know how I am, who I am. You wouldn't be in Michigan without me. Oh,
Also,
Ida, he knew who I was right then. Oh,
Oh
Ida,
yeah,
I didn't know that was you. Really, I haven't changed at all. I look the same way I did in high school, 50 years
yeah.
later, right? And
okay.
so people just interesting, but that's kind of how the academic plays in the Black community. It
Right. That
doesn't. It's
is,
not. Even though you're Mike, you had a unicorn family,
yeah.
and I do say the uniform there, that's more rare than it's the norm.
Right. Right. I agree.
Academics is not really valued in the Black community in general. So it's not just amongst the sports stars. It's just not a highly valued proposition in our community.
And
And
you
it
know what?
should be.
And you know what? And I wanted to touch on that because thank you so much. And I'm please forgive me for talking about it. I do have a unicorn family. You're right. And it is but the thing is, I value education, and I know that you are a University of Michigan alum. You also but not only did you do that, you did some spectacular things while you were going through college and learning, and what you got out of what did you talk about what you gained from the University of Michigan, because that is one of the most, not only one of the most premier universities in the world, but education, it can also be biased. Not only is it hard to get there, but it's also hard to convince those that are giving you that piece of paper to get to that other side, no matter how hard you work. Is that right?
Right. Well, I'm gonna say what it taught me. Life is about how to outmaneuver.
Ooh, come on.
Mm.
See, we have to look at systems are not really the paper is not what's important.
Yes.
It's learning how to manipulate systems. That's the reason you go to these universities
Mm.
because it's a competition. I told people it's a dog and pony show, and you learn to compete, and it's a microcosm of real life. You learn that in high school how to compete. You take that to college. You learn how to compete when you're there. Then it teaches you how to compete and outmaneuver in society. And so, what I learned from the university was how to outmaneuver. You can't outmaneuver me, you
No,
know,
yeah, that's a new one right there. You can't
you're
outwork
just
me.
not.
We always say you
So
can maneuver.
that's what I learned, and I learned how to do that very well. The
Yes, yes.
second thing that I learned is how to research information. So if it exists, I'm gonna find it.
Talk.
So you're not gonna out out fact me because I'm gonna find the facts that's gonna support what I need to get done.
You know what?
Period.
We're gonna jump now. We're already getting in on close to the second quarter. We go in 4 quarters now. Like the reason why I wanted to ask so many and fiddle with you about education and things like that is because we know that you have done the research. We know that now we know that you helped some NBA players get somewhere, and you had to check them to make sure, hey, you better remember who I am. But
Right.
now you also live in Detroit, Michigan, and you've also been a pillar in Detroit. When did you actually move to Detroit, and what made you want to after college? Was it something that was a professional, or what made you want to stay in Detroit in Michigan?
I got married.
Okay, okay, keep it
I married
100.
somebody who was from Detroit.
Okay. There you
So
go.
I've been there. I've been there since 1991, so it's been a long time.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, beautiful
Been a
thing.
long time.
That's a beautiful thing. That's good. And then now you have some now my son, I woke him up this morning and I said, I sent him your website. And I sent him your picture. We're going to get into that because you're in technology. You've been featured with Oprah, Black Essence Magazine. We've got a lot to talk about. So tell us more. You got to Detroit, and what was the first thing that you professionally wanted to do? Let everyone know that was the first thing that you
I was a wealth manager, but I have to tell people I'm from Flint, Michigan, and
right.
what people don't know, Flint natives are called Flintstones.
That's right.
That's what we call ourselves.
Right.
And wherever we are in the world, even if we don't know each
Say
other,
that
we're little
again for
Flintstones.
everybody. That's real.
you're always a Flintstone. And one of the things
Flintstone.
that I as a Flintstone,
Yeah.
we're gonna help each other out. So when I
Yeah.
first moved to Detroit, I was in wealth management. I didn't know anybody, but I went to one of the judges who's a fellow Flintstone and says, "Hey, my mom told me to look you up. Can you help me?" He went, "Of course," because he's a
Yeah,
Flintstone,
the
right?
Flintstone. That's
So
what
he
it
introduced me. He introduced me to the legal structure. I picked up a lot of clients there to grow my business, and that's kind of how I got involved in the community. But I
is.
ran a wealth management firm for almost 15 years. I took it from zero to $620 million of assets under management. The
Wow.
bulk of the clients were in
Right
the
off the
city of
bat, you
Detroit.
did that? Right off the bat?
It took me 10 years.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
10
That's what
years.
I'm talking
You
about.
know, you
Hey,
build businesses, nothing
I got a
happens
question
overnight.
for you, Miss Bird.
Yes, ma'am.
I got a question for you,
Hmm.
Miss Bird.
Sure.
How about this? Why is it so hard for a wealth management company to set a 508 up for you? Why they act like they just don't know how to set it up? You have to go to the back office all the time.
I do.
It's not that it's not that it's so difficult. It's a back office function.
Gotcha.
So most wealth management firms are not back offices; they're front offices. They deal with
Right.
clients. They bring in investments. So the financial industry, we hate to say it, it's a technological industry, and it has a lot of back end nuances. So anytime you deal with anything that's a back end nuance, you got to go to the back end. So it's not that they're trying to give you a hard time. It's just it's a technological industry. So even like we talk about technology, we talk about it as an industry. We don't see that technology is everywhere and it
Right.
runs everything that you do. Every industry is the technology industry. Pick one.
It is. It is. It is. And you know what? And that even goes back to something that I wanted to give you credit for because I read in your bio and some of your background of what you did one day when your school, you were concerned about the children's safety and the school was broken into. And you went, what did you do? You went across the street and did what? In Detroit? Talk about it.
But let me tell you, first of all, you have to say, everybody calls me Miss Ida,
Miss
first of
Ida.
all.
Okay, Miss Ida.
So I weed in and out of neighborhoods because I know a lot of people in Detroit because
Okay.
you deal with young people and their families and what have you. But
Yes.
at this particular school, we had a playground that we put in and a basketball court. And normally, what school districts do, they want to put a gate around all of that stuff when it goes into a neighborhood. And because we were on Gratiot, Connor, and Outer Drive, which is a very poor neighborhood, I was like, they don't have a playground, they don't have a basketball court. You're not gonna put a gate and a lock on it. We're gonna leave it open. But I left it open for two reasons. First of all, so the kids have a place to play. But the second reason, because when you go into neighborhoods are systems too. So you got to know how systems work. Well, I
Yes.
got young men who are on the court who are entrepreneurs. I call them street entrepreneurs in
Mhm.
that neighborhood. They know everything that goes on in that neighborhood. So
Right.
I'm at a school that I need protection, and the school is not going to hire security. I mean, they have one security officer. That is not sufficient
Oh,
for me,
mhm.
right? So I left the basketball court open because I needed security. Now, how I got mad because they saw my computers when open a week. And I was mad. So I walked
Mm.
up on the court. It is my court because I'm the one that got it built. I'm the one that take care of it and what have you. And said to the young men, I'm mad with y'all. They don't know me from Adam. Little sister, it was what they said. Little sister, why you mad? Because
Yeah.
I left the basketball court open for you all to protect the building. We ain't even been here a week and all my computers got stolen. So that means all y'all fail on y'all jobs. And I am mad, and I said it mad as hell, because I didn't did y'all a favor, y'all didn't do me a favor.
Right.
So we need to get this fixed up. What y'all gonna do about it? I need to find my computers.
It
I know
is.
y'all know where they are. Get them back to the building.
Right.
So I had to appreciate them. They went, well, we didn't know that was our job. I said, well, maybe because I failed to communicate it. So I'm going to tell you now, that's your job. I left the court open during the day while the kids are in school because y'all need to protect the building. Let's not let that happen again. They wouldn't find my computers. They put every computer back.
Now see
Mhm.
that I thank you and I applaud you for that. And I wanted to make sure that that story was heard, all around because that took bravery. And I want to commend you. Not only did you build that court for the community, like you said, it's systems, and you didn't communicate to them their job. And that's a beautiful thing that we have missed in our own community as African Americans, as Africans, Black people. Let's keep it real. We forgot that flow. There's a flow to it. You know what I mean? So I wanted to thank you for that. And
But
now,
I'm gonna say, but
yeah,
I'm gonna even say this is more different than that. It's not even so much it's a flow,
yeah,
it's an ecosystem, and everybody has a role.
right.
And so, and I have to say, like that particular gang leader, him and I were friends for years.
Yeah,
His daughter eventually ended up at Detroit School of Arts. And when she graduated, I don't know who cried more, him or me. But the
good.
point is that even though he's in the hood and he's a street entrepreneur, he
Uh-huh.
made sure that his children got educated, right?
Yeah.
Because of the interaction in the ecosystem. But what happens a lot of times we go into neighborhoods and we
Mhm.
forget that neighborhoods are ecosystems, and you can either thrive with the ecosystem or you can antagonize it and now they're against you. And
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to be against people in your own community. You got to
absolutely.
work with every little fraction because everybody got a job to do.
Right.
Sometimes you just have to coordinate and tell them what their job is.
Exactly. Hey, that is,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, and that is right there. And that's a perfect point right here for us to go ahead and take a quick break. We are already at halftime already, and we just getting into it. We are here with Miss Ida, everyone. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm from the zoo. Dub, do you have any Dub, would you like to go ahead and do our sponsor shouts out, fam?
Yeah, just want to give a shout out to the sponsors as number one draft pick and Supreme over there in New York.
Number one,
Also, we're going to go to Seattle and go to Napalm Flowering, which is a very great company as well,
and also
and just and also Kellogg's. So
definitely.
definitely want to get with her about the Kellogg's thing, but we got some good sponsors out there looking for more. So let's make something happen.
And we appreciate everybody that's been checking in and following us and watching us out there on I'm from the Zoo. We thank you so much. We continue for your continued support. And shouts up to Kier Worthy, man, my man. I see you rocking that.
Here,
What's up with you, brother? We see you and we can't hear you, but we know you're in the house, you know. All right, you know what? Let's talk about something. What is your affiliation, Miss Ida, with Kwanzaa?
Oh, I love Kwanzaa, but I have a different reason why I love Kwanzaa.
Tell us.
oh,
My company, Automation Works, actually started a pilot
Mhm.
during Kwanzaa.
Come on
mm,
now.
And people go, why? First of all, when I decided I was going to build a technology school, all the little white organizations tell me, well, you're gonna fail. I went, oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Okay. So I purposely put it on Kwanzaa to launch it. First of all, because when you're talking about self-determination, I believe in self-determination. So
Yes.
my thing is put your money where your mouth is. So we launched on that particular day
Mhm.
and we've been going ever since.
wow,
So to me, Kwanzaa is not really just a holiday. It's a way of living. It's the way you see yourself. It's the way that you interact with your community.
it's a
And
movement.
so when we launched on that week and that on that particular day was to make a point to everybody that's around me. While you think I'm gonna fail, let me show you better than I can tell you.
Tell you,
Oh, you better, I can tell you. And the reason why I love Kwanzaa falls within my birthday season. The reason why I brought that up, I thought that was fabulous, as you say, as well, because my mom sent me a Kwanzaa card when I was in the music industry. And I thought,
Hmm.
and off of that Kwanzaa card, I said, you know what? I was a radio producer. We need to have those Kwanzaa vignettes. The every day of Kwanzaa needs to be on urban radio, every day of Kwanzaa talking about what it was. So I got on the phone and called Dr. Karinga and it made it happen. If you'll remember on Black Radio, there used to be these vignettes that talked about the days of
Hmm.
Kwanzaa. So that was what we did. And when I read that you use Kwanzaa for your vision board, I thought that that was absolutely wonderful and awesome. That was
mm,
profound,
mm,
you know?
Hmm. Yeah, and the reason why I use it for the vision board, I just believe that everybody should have a vision for their life. Our community is pretty creative,
Hmm.
but one of the things that I've noticed that we really don't dream about the American dream too much anymore. And when I was growing up in the last probably 30 years, we talked about it a lot. We really
Right.
don't talk about it much. We do need to get back to it.
Yes.
Because everybody should have a dream of where you're going, and you kind
Yeah.
of should know what that is, and you
Yes.
need to lay it out and plan it. It just doesn't happen by
And I
accident.
agree with you. And you know, one of the things that I admire about what you do, especially, well, let's talk about your company and your business and your technology school, because it's absolutely fabulous when I see AutoWorks organization. And but before we get there, one of the things I wanted to say is your research is dynamic, and you do the research, so you do know about family dynamics. You do know about
Mm.
where we are, where we've headed. And let me ask you this question: do you think that it's just a fear that we may have about not knowing the unknown? Because my thoughts are, if you don't have anything, why are you afraid not to go and learn about it anyway? You know, to get into wealth management, to get into crypto.
Well, fear is the fear is not always about failure.
Hmm.
A lot of us have fear of success.
I agree. I
And
can,
to me, that fear is probably the most gripping one
yes,
than fear of failure. Because we fail all the time. We don't think twice about it.
right.
But we have this what we call the imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
Who am I to think that I should be great?
Right. Right.
And that kind of runs through our community.
And you know
Um,
what's
yeah,
on
it
top of
does.
that, it's if you want to be great, it seems like sometimes people around you don't necessarily will feel the same way. So you kind of got to get yourself in, you've kind of got to move around and find the people around you that builds that synergy, that same thinking that you do. You know,
And I
absolutely.
call that a mastermind group. You can have
Hmm.
as many members as possible. And it's funny
Mm.
you should say that because the school kind of operates like a mastermind group.
Hmm.
Even when people come and they graduate, we leave them where they can come back to us for a year, because a
Yeah.
lot of them come to us on Motivational Monday because they need it. Because a lot of times the community is very negative.
Yes.
We tend to be very positive. We believe you can do anything you set your mind to, as
Yes.
long as you're willing to do the work. If you do the work, then it will take care of itself.
Yes.
And so we kind of preach that throughout the school through the Motivational Monday. So a lot of our graduates, even though they're gone, they're working, they pop back in to get their little interjection of positivity so they
Yes.
can go conquer the world.
Well, that's
How long?
phenomenal.
How long is your cyber boot camp?
Ooh, talk
Well, the
about it.
cybersecurity is 48 weeks, but we not only teach cybersecurity, we also teach AI data analytics, network engineering, Internet of Things. Real soon, we'll be launching a battery technology program in conjunction with the electric vehicles. So that's coming down the
Right.
pike real soon.
And once
Right.
again, you can go in at AutoWorks with a Z. That's AUTOWORKZ.org.
I
And
know
that
you like that Z, don't you?
I do like that Z. You feel what I'm saying? I like that Z. You put that little twist
I
on
had
it.
to be a little different.
Well, talk about the enrollment process, and if you don't mind sharing, if there's a price for it and what people have to do. And it
And,
looks
and then and then and then it's accredited nationwide.
it looks seriously interesting.
Yeah, first of all, in order to run a vocational school in America, you got to have a license.
Right.
You actually have a license in every state. That's the way that it kind of works. But one of the things what we do for the admissions process is a little bit differently. We are funded through workforce development funding. So most of our learners do not pay out of their pocket. We tell them, most of them, go to your local workforce development agency. They have money that they've gotten from the Department of Labor to pay for training, and then you just come. But they have a process where you got to take a reading and math assessment.
Mm,
Our process is a little different because what we're looking for is, are you going to finish? Since I am judged, my success level is judged on people completing a program. I need to make a hedge bet on who's going to finish. Because one of the things that I am very cognizant of,
mhm.
lots of people like to start. They are gung ho when they get started.
Yeah,
But when something happens, they fall off and they drop out. So
that.
I have to predict who that's going to be.
Mm,
So one of the things that we do when they come to us, they have to lay out their vision board, because we have a vision board app called the Life Culture Audit. And then we take them through this gaming process that's called Sensi games, where they play this game where they're moving a robot from one part of a puzzle maze to the end of the robot. And every level they get to the end where they're successful, it'll tell them, congratulations, you just coded JavaScript. Check out your code and then go on to the next level. Now
yeah.
people go, why would you do that? First of all, because I've met too many Black people, when you say come to a technology school, they'll say, I'm not smart. What? First of all, I don't know who told you that, but I define smartness a little bit differently. If you can do that gaming and you can do that very well, then we want you.
Right.
And for those of the 20 levels, the game is 20 levels for them at that level. I've had people when they got to the 20th level and they're doing it, they can get it done in a minute. I want those students to come real fast because I don't really care what they did in K-12. It doesn't really matter to us. You know, they could have got all E's as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Right.
It starts now. Because
Yeah.
my thing is, are you going to put in the work? Because we're going to work you to death.
Yes.
If you put in the work, then I'm going to deliver you to the other end. But you got to put in the work. And so we use the game to judge who we think is smart. Now I'm gonna tell you what's so funny. Pretty much most of the people who do the game are very smart,
Yeah.
but they just been not identified as being geniuses because that happens in our community all the time.
Yeah.
And so what we use it is we use it as an idea to be able to judge who is our geniuses in our community, and we find we got a lot of them. But it's also to convince them that you have the wherewithal to make it happen because you've done 20 levels of JavaScript code, which is actual code, because you can copy the code and go put it in any code generator and it'll populate what you just did on the game, which means that you just did JavaScript code. So that means that when I've said to a couple people, when people say, well, they can't code, you can go back and say to them, yeah, I can code. Here is my code. So now we done got through all of that issue, whatever barriers you have with your family, who done just told you, well, you can't code and you just get code. Now what's the problem? And
Right.
so what we find is that once people do the coding a few levels, they feel confident in themselves that they can master this within the actual curriculum, and that's how we start the process.
Wonderful.
Mm.
That's awesome. You know what? That's funny that you said that about we don't know who we are as geniuses, and you can identify that through this process. And the funny thing about coding is, we made some MySpace pages, I remember.
Yeah, back in the day, yes, we
That's
did.
coding like a mug.
Already.
But we don't think of it that way. We just saw it as social media,
Well,
and because the way that they make they
why do you think we're so far behind on coding with dealing with other companies like China? Because I think over in China the kids are coding is like 3 or 4 years old. They're learning how to code.
Yeah, our curriculum's bad.
because we don't
So
teach it. It's not in our
why
schools.
is that a
It's
reason
not
why
in
they
our houses.
right?
Speaking of our houses, tell everyone about your book. What does KISS mean to you and us?
That particular book is Kids in Successful School Begins at Home.
Come on,
And
talk
I
about it.
wrote that book. That was for Detroit Public Schools because for many years, about 13 years, I had
Wow.
a contract with them and I did parent workshops. And what really made me write that particular book is I got upset with some parents. I mean, I got really upset because I had up this parent group at one particular time. And when I looked at the register, a lot of my kids were failing. But the one thing that really made me angry is that they gave the kids a grade for homework.
Mm,
How you get an E in homework?
Not
All you
doing
gotta do
it.
is sit down and do it. You just gotta sit and do it. So
yeah,
I granted that as the parent grade. I said to the parents, that's your grade. Because
yeah.
there's no way your child should be getting an E in homework when you can sit them down at a kitchen table and get their homework done.
It's all
So
about yeah, yeah. I mean, and you know what? And you know what? I apologize to you because because like I said, I come from a crazy family where we didn't play that. You know what I'm saying? And playing sports, I had to have a 3.0 to play. Now,
mhm.
you don't know, like we got busy out there, but people don't know I had to have a 3.0 just to play. My mom and them didn't play that. You remember that, Doug?
Absolutely.
You know? So
I didn't
so
have no 3.0, but it was
so it so
close.
it kind of it sparked a little spark. So I want to apologize my great sister because it's like you're right, man. I wish that we didn't take education so lightly. And it's just furthering the gap on our wealth, on our health. And it's like you said, it's an ecosystem. But it's like brilliant people like yourself that can realize that, do the research,
Priceless.
and come back in. Now, are you still working closely with Detroit, the school system right now with the children right now?
No, I did not. We only work with adults, so we only work with their parents.
Okay.
Wow.
Um, and we're going to probably work with the parents because me that's how you fix everything. If I
Yes.
can fix a parent, then the children just fall in line. And so I
Um,
tell people, one of the challenges that we have in our community is related to poverty, and the only way you can fix poverty is you have to fix the parent because
yeah.
children are not poor,
Right.
parents are poor. Children just go
Exactly.
wherever their parents tell them to go. So when we have this conversation about child poverty, I don't even know why we even having it, because children don't have a job. That's the
Right.
parent's job. So
Right.
we figure if I could fix the parent and get the parent out of poverty, which we do every day, then the
The
children just
kid.
kind of follow along.
Yeah.
It's just as it happens.
And you know what else? We're at halftime already. I can't believe that. What I would like to say, um, shouts out to the Like Minds and on the Come Through Network. And I'm from the Zoo Show here. What I
Kiki.
Kiki, big shout out to Kiki and all of the shows on the program as well, man, all of the good people. But what you made an interesting point, and I just wanted to follow up on, is that like our schools, the curriculum needs to change. The dynamics of the curriculum needs to change for us. Like, for example, why not teach the children real estate? Why not teach them technology? Right?
Credit.
Why not teach them farming?
Well, can I
Why
can I
not
be
teach,
honest with
you know,
you?
te-
Can I be honest with you?
yes, yes, please.
The children are difficult.
Hmm.
The children have so
So
many behavior issues,
add gaming.
and you
Gaming in
spend
there.
so much time in class
Yeah.
over behavior issues because the children really are difficult. And
Yeah.
I had to say that to a parent last week, and and her child was difficult. And I was like, listen, let me just tell you how life really is. Had my child did what your child did,
Yeah.
it would have been a wrap. I would have had to just take them outside. And I don't even really believe in spanking, but I would have beat their little ass because it's
Mhm.
just not happening. But you went up to the school and you acted a plum tea fool, and your child
And
was
your kid
wrong
was wrong.
Talk
choose.
about it. Talk about it.
And
Talk
the
about
teacher has to deal with that. So having been a teacher in the classroom,
it. Yes.
part of the reason why our kids don't get what they need, because you spend half the class period trying to get the kids to behave properly so you can give them the appropriate instruction
And so you
and
really
not
never can
blame
get
that
to it.
on the parent.
And you're exactly right. You never really seem to get to it because also what I do also on one of my jobs that I do is I coach. I coach children right now in Richmond Schools District, after school program. And one of the things that's difficult about it is that I was told to back off of getting the kids, the energy because they'll get out there and they get soft. I don't want to run. I don't want to walk. It's really bad right now for the kids. They're not like what we were. We got outside and played and we didn't have so many we had distractions, but not so many. But right now they're just really kind of, I hate to say, a little bit soft.
And but that comes back to parents not really guiding their homes, which is why I wrote that book, Kids in Successful School Begins at Home with a Kiss, because I'm in it by love. Because
Yes.
at the end of the day, as a parent, you run your house. But what really made me write it is because I had single mom, because I'm hyphenated and people assume that I'm still married. I haven't been married in 30 years. And
Mhm.
one, maybe not 30 years, 20 years, 24 years to be exact. And I remember saying to a single parent, I said, girl, you need to get it together.
Yeah.
That's an excuse. I'm a single mom with twins,
Right.
and my twins know there are certain things that does not happen in my household. First of all, when you come into my house, you get your snack and you go straight to your homework. Don't let me see my TV is on and your homework ain't done, because it's gonna be war in my house because I run my
Yeah.
house.
Come on
Children
now.
don't run my house. They don't pay no bills. They are boarders. They serve at my pleasure. So you telling me that your kid is running wild because you single, girl, that is, I can't even get with that. I don't even understand the logic of that. So I
Come on.
wrote that book because I always heard that complaint. So I wrote that really for my single mommies to stop that complaining. You have a household to run. Your children don't run no house. You run that house. And this is how you run a house so that when your kids get to school, they're successful. Number two, my teachers know and my kids knew, don't let no teacher have to call me because of you misbehaving up at that school. Because whatever that teacher did that was wrong, now when she called me, now because you wrong, I got to deal with you.
Right. Right. Right.
So I run this. So that book is just how do you be a good parent so that when your kid get to school, that your kids are successful in school, because it doesn't start at the schoolhouse, it starts at your house.
Well, you thought about that whooping you was gonna get when you got home, so that was one thing. But when the kid don't have
Get
that
home. No, no, no.
fear,
See,
this
my
is
kids, we
my
didn't wait till
space.
we get home. You ain't got to wait
This
till
is
you get
my
home. I'm gonna
space.
take you to school. You know what I mean? so
But you know what
so
though,
that was where that book came from.
I will say this as well. We had a lot of discipline in our houses too. It was we also had what was called, people might forgot about it, but it was You know, if this person did bad, by the time I got home, I already had maybe 3 whoopings from what I done did. You dig it? It was straight like that. But what I will say on top of that is that my brother Chad, you met my brother Chad. You know,
Yes.
and myself, we're fine young men. We love the fact that we are represented well from our mom and our family on both sides. You know what I'm saying? And even I'm gonna let the world know that education is as corny as people think it is. Education is a battle, like you said. I never thought about it as a maneuvering thing, as you had said earlier. That was brilliant, because life is about maneuvering. It's about achieving and getting to the side. And also, life is about, it's not about just sitting there wavering and giving up. Life is about really getting busy, and shaking things off. Because if you let things harm you and all these traumas, you're not ever going to keep going and going up. And especially one of the things that you said that was so interesting, you said that these tech organizations said that you wouldn't be successful. Oh my goodness. Now look,
Man,
now look at you. You got
she
the
turned that into a motivator, didn't you?
got an institution. And
That's that.
could you
That's
also
that
share?
Flintstone in her.
That's that Flintstone mentality. Oh, you know what? What you didn't know is uh I have a song with Breed. I do hip hop. I did a song with Breed. And John
Okay.
Hurt, you know what I'm saying? And so I remember
Yeah,
going
okay.
in the Flintstones and the Dayton family. So you know what I'm saying? So that's like that's real true. And my man Gov Flint, shouts out to the gloves, to the Gov, you know what I'm saying? So I was saying like I know that Flintstone mentality and how you rolled it over. And then when you went to Detroit, you set the street straight. You say, hey man, I built this court. What y'all doing? Y'all failed your job. You know what I'm saying? You told them, you showed them, you recognized who they were, and you gave them their power. And then they changed that. And then that dynamic, his daughter went on to Detroit Institute of Arts. You don't know who cried more, you or him. You know what I'm saying? So you're fabulous the way that you're a communicator with people and what you've been doing. And what I wanted to ask you is there anything that you wanted to tell those that doubted you about your institution?
Yes, I do. First of all, the first thing is I have to remind Black people
Mm.
the thing that we are afraid of, which is usually mathematics, we created mathematics.
Yes.
So we shouldn't be afraid of it.
That's
Technology, yes, is built on math, but we're the creator of algebra. So why are we afraid of it? We shouldn't.
Mhm.
So all of the tools that we made is to get people over their fear to understand that while you're fearful of it, because a lot of times we call it these things are white. They're not white. They were created by Egyptians, which are Black people. The last time I checked, Egypt sits on the continent of Africa.
that's real.
Number two is that right now technology is everything. You
Everything.
have got to be in technology. But what happens, we are consumers of technology. We consume social media apps. We consume just all type of stuff, but we don't make anything. There is no money in consumption unless you are doing some serious business. The
Right.
money is in production. So if you're not producing, you need to, look at yourself a little bit differently because that's where the money is. Whether you're producing a show, whether you're producing an app, whether you're producing a product, whether you're producing software, it all comes back to technology. Technology is everywhere. So
Mhm.
people have to grasp it. Last but not least, if you don't grasp technology, you will be unemployed. We
Oh
see
yeah.
that right now.
Yeah.
It's mass poverty is going to hit the Black community
Oh
because we
yeah.
refuse
Robots,
to step up.
everything.
It's
Yeah.
here. It's not coming. It's been here. The
And it's
problem is we're not embracing that it's here and what impact it's going to have on society. And it's going to have a negative one if you're not involved.
right.
So I'm telling everybody, I don't care what age you are, stop running from technology. Take the time to sit and listen and be able to figure it out. If not, go to some school to get you some training because no matter what career you go into, you're
You
going to
got to
need
deal with it.
technology.
Yeah.
So deal with it
You have to.
because
I
that's
mean,
where the money is.
you're
And then
absolutely
last but not least, understand that the techies of the world rule the world right now. They're
mhm.
making millions and millions of dollars. You have young people that are not even 20 something that are making 152 and $300,000 because they're being techies. So
Yeah.
don't run for technology. Run to it. Embrace it because that's where all the cash is sitting.
That's exactly right. And you know what? The funny thing you said that when I graduated high school, I always say this, but I told them I wanted to go to communications, mass communications. And they told
Mhm.
me in my face, my counselor, there's never going to be any money in that. And look at us now. You know what I'm saying? And one of the
Mhm.
things you just said is so wonderful. It's like I love that. I love your attitude because you're straight to the point and it's nonchalant. It's straight to the point and it's absolute, and it's a factor that we have to get over that. There's still people like worried mad because VCRs aren't still working or DVDs aren't still going, you know?
Oh, thank God. I'm glad they gone.
Because we I know that's
So,
real.
what about your venture with Kellogg's? Tell us what you did with Kellogg's
Great
Yeah,
question.
I actually
lately.
I received a contract with Kellogg Foundation to do a feasibility study on whether Black people are ready for all of these investments because within 60 miles you have three battery plants, and then within 100 miles you have a semiconductor plant. So you got all of this activity in a very short space, right? And the general gist of the matter, African Americans are not ready for all of this technological investment. They have to go get some training. But the problem is getting them to go get the training. They think that they're going to still screw on the widget. That day has long been over. It's been over for 25, 30 years. And while people still say I'm going to get a good job in a factory screwing on a widget, there are no widgets in factories anymore. They're all robotic. They need people to operate the robot or fix the robot. But to screw on the widget, I got a robot for that.
Yeah.
I don't need a body for that.
Absolutely. Shout out to Kellogg's.
Shout out to Kellogg.
Yes.
And now let me
Mhm.
ask you a question because this is very th when you do these studies, it that's like that's doctoral work. And what do you how do you how does that go down? My mind thinks like that. Like you go and you do the research, you gather all this information, and then you represent it to the person that asked for it. I mean, like, how long does that take? I guess was what I'm asking.
Well, it for that report, it took a year because that was a little different. It wasn't totally all data. A
Mhm.
lot of it was work in the community, working with community groups to see what people are doing with technological apps. And so most of our research projects evolve around that of how we're going to see what people do. Because one of the things in that particular study, one of the things we had with Kellogg Foundation, we talked about, I think the people are smarter than what people give them credit for.
I agree.
So when I said that, that's an assumption, but the question is, how do you prove it? So how we proved it, we used our Cincy games to show that these young people are able to do this game. And really what the game really is about is an algorithm. All an algorithm is a set of instructions we give to a computer to perform a task. If
Yeah.
I could get a young person to think like an algorithm, teaching them coding or programming is easy because all it is a language. The hard part is teaching them how to think in steps like a computer. So my thing is if they can think in steps like a computer and I can prove that they can think in steps like a computer, then now I have solidified my rationale and my hypothesis that they're smarter than what you think they are, which is what we did. So we looked at a whole bunch of people, we interviewed a lot of people, we had them use the software, and then we just looked and see, okay, what results did we get? And in general, the results that we receive is that they do think like a computer, even though they don't realize they're doing it, and that they're able to learn the coding. So now it's just a matter of teaching them the code. That's
Yeah.
the easy part,
Yeah.
truthfully, because once you learn one set of coding, you can pick up another one and another one and another one because they're all pretty similar.
And it's actually kind of fun, but you got to have that kind of mind and that kind of stability with yourself and that confidence in yourself that says, I want to learn, I want to do this. But that is absolutely fabulous. You know what I mean? So what is there an age group where that's limited to, or is it just for adults? You said for when you're seeking this
Our
out?
technical training is for adults, but
Okay.
all of our apps are open to anybody who wants to use them, and they're free. So we have two apps right now, and they're free to the general public. They can just go on our website under our navigation menu under apps and click them and download them and use them. And then we just track the information and see what people are doing with them to see how they're progressing. But they're free to anybody. Ideally, if I had my druthers, I would love to see those in the fifth, sixth grade start to use the apps
Hmm.
because it gives them more exposure, gives them exposure to coding, gives them exposure to vision boarding, because I have to tell
Man,
you, you know, I started vision boarding when I was 15.
Yeah.
And I tell people because I wanted to be richy rich. I was in the hood. I lived in the front housing project.
Right.
And back then that was funny for a black person to want to be richy rich. Who do I think I am? I'm poor. But I told people I didn't had
Yeah.
servants, I didn't had maids, I didn't
Oh,
had
man.
cooks, I didn't had nannies because I could afford it. But
you
that's
had the
because
chefs, huh?
technology gave me that opportunity.
That's
Yes.
really the truth.
Right.
And you know what? That's beautiful. You said that because when we were growing up, we actually had to write down a board. We had a board. Like we had a
Hmm.
board growing up. Like my family taught about that too. And
Hmm.
we had a lot of things. And church is it was very important in our family too, growing up. So I'm thinking about
Hmm.
things that you're saying is just kind of coming back because we still use that. And I still write that down to this day. I actually have mine is called a goal sheet. You know what I'm saying? When we came and created the show for I'm from the Zoo, we wrote it all down, didn't we, Dub? We wrote it.
So, but I
Absolutely.
got one better for you. But instead of not writing it down, you can go to our vision board app. You still type in your description, but then you put a picture to it.
Come
And what
on.
the
Mm.
app does is it populates it on a one-page board.
Kiki, can you
And then
show
you
that
can
app
just
up
save
here?
it and walk around on your phone.
You know
Take your
what?
Oh,
phone.
that's,
And you can put
that's
this app, you can have this as an app as well on your phone.
Yep, it's on your phone. So you can, all
That
of
is
that happens on the phone, and then you can save it as a screensaver and look at your vision board. I look at mine 30 times a day because it's on my screensaver on my
uh,
phone.
Now, now,
beautiful.
now on your website, you've got some very interesting statistics, and like you have here, for example, the average lifetime cost of pet care is $67,935.
I know, isn't
And
that crazy?
isn't that crazy? And
That's
now,
crazy.
when we said, you know what? I was thinking about this the other day. You know how you were talking about Richie Rich because I thought that too. And when you put words out there into the world, people don't understand how magnetic it is. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
The words are so power, and words are power. So I know what attracts that, and you know what attracts that. But I think a lot of people, when you think poor, you will be poor. If you vibrate poor, your vibration is gonna be poor. You know what I'm saying? But if you vibrate at a high level, your vibration is gonna be at a high level. Look, if I told you that I would sit down and meditate and just be sitting outside and a bee will come and land on my lap, like, what's up? It won't bother me, because it's an energy thing. And you give off such a great energy because you have the knowledge, you know what it takes to be successful, and your mindset is right. And the
Mhm.
fact that is like, when you know who you are, one of the best thing that I've learned about you and a lot of the wonderful sisters that we've had on our show is that the sisters care about the community a lot more than the brothers. And I can't generalize, but I will say that you all think more about the community first.
That's
And,
because women are nurturers. We nurture. That's what we do, right?
and I appreciate
Um, but one of the things that I'm trying to get the community to do, that whatever circumstances you're in,
it.
you may not can change it right away, but the
Yeah,
one thing you can change is your mindset and how you see yourself.
right.
So even if you're in the middle of the hood, because I was in the middle of the hood when
Yeah.
I said that I was gonna go to college and I was gonna be this richy rich person. And everybody laughed about it. And I used to have richy rich stuff all over the place. And I had Shakespeare on my wall. Everybody thought that was funny because remember I'm in the project. So they
Yeah.
thought it was funny. But then when I graduated and I got 11 scholarships,
Talk about
just
them.
pick whatever university I wanted to go to, and I was on my way out. It
See,
wasn't funny anymore.
and, and
But I thought that to happen. It didn't just happen.
you
I
should.
willed it to
I
happen.
know. I know you're proud of yourself because I totally understand your language and where it is. And what I'm fascinated about is that the knowledge that you have in the research and the way not only do you put your research together, but it's just what does this word fabulous mean to you when it comes to putting that research together?
Well, I use that word 50,000 times a day.
Talk about it. Why?
And people go, why? Because whatever you put out is what you get. Because there are some days when somebody say, how are you doing? Most people go, I'm okay. You walk away and you just feel like so sapped. But when
Yeah,
I say the word fabulous, even if you're not fabulous, all of a sudden you perk up.
that's right.
You go, oh, me too. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean every time I say the word I'm fabulous, I'm actually fabulous? No, not really. Sometimes life may be blowing up around me. But I believe that how I think about it and what I speak about it changes the environment of what happens. So you
Mhm.
have to speak into existence what you want. So I use the word all the time to remind people that we speak this into existence. And so I've been using that word, maybe about 10 years or so. I started with phenomenal after Maya Angelou's Phenomenal Woman poem. That phenomenal was kind of awkward word to say. Fabulous is a lot easier. And so I say it 100 times a day because I want people to understand I'm fabulous. I hope you are too.
Right.
And hopefully it'll catch the vibe. Maybe it'll rub
Right.
off on you and make you go do something different, right? Because you
Terrific.
have to speak your volume. Now, why do I say that? When I started this company, they told me, oh, you're not going to be successful. Well,
Yes.
my top graduate makes $166,000. Now I have to laugh because the number two is at 130, and they've been in competition with each other for the last
Okay.
3 years. So when she heard that because she's up for promotion at Deloitte and Touche, and when she heard her colleague was at 166, she went, "What?" She said, "Now I got to get a double promotion because they're in competition, right?" But a third of my graduates make over six figures. That
Okay.
didn't just happen. That's a speak into existence.
Mm.
But that didn't just come from them. That came from the school because when we started the school, we said you're going to come and you're going to double your salary. So
You know
if you're
what?
at 50, you're going to double your salary.
Now let me
That
now.
was our initial thing. You're going to
Fab-
double your salary.
That's a
So
fabulous.
I need to get you into the habit of doubling your salary. Then
Mm.
we went from doubling your salary that, hey, we're going to get to six figures. So
See.
everybody, we preach it. You can make six figures in technology, 100,000 plus. So get your mind ready for 100,000. We work with you through the apps that we use to get you prepped for 100,000 to get you ready. Because until you think about it, you're not going to do it. But if you hear it enough, then you will do it. Then you have your colleagues around you that are making six figures because, as I said, 30% of our learners are making six figures. And so you're hearing people when they get a job that, oh, what was your offer? Even if it's 85,000, if they were making $15 an hour and now they're making 85, you go, oh, they do that. I could do that then. Or you got a colleague, you're making $10 an hour and they come out at 64. It makes you want to get up and do something.
Yeah.
So what we do is we want to empower people mentally that you may not can change where you are right at this very second, but your brain you can train and put it wherever you want to put it. If you decide that you deserve to be on Fiji Island, put Fiji Island on your vision board. Look at Fiji Island every day until Fiji Island becomes a reality in your life. And
That.
people have the power to do that. And in
Now,
America, we have the ability to do that because we can do anything in America that we want
You can. What was you gonna say?
if we
That.
focus.
Thank you for. What was you going? What were you gonna ask, Doug?
now I was going to say for a person that already went to school already, and maybe had took some cybersecurity classes that got like 2 years under their belt. Does those credits transfer, or will y'all accept those credits from another school, or they have to go just through your program, the boot camp program?
They have to go through our program because my program is a formula
See,
Gotcha.
it's a
and it
formula.
works.
And you know
I
what?
don't know what other schools do. So and I have to say, I've got some people who come to us who have master's degrees and what have you. And I
Right.
have to tell them, it's my formula. If you don't like it, go someplace else. But
And
we know my formula
let
works.
me, excuse me for interjecting real quick. I just want to ask, like, maybe this will help clarify some misconceptions or fears for people. What are the kind of jobs that are available? What kind of jobs there that are available in cyber security and things? What do they mean when cyber jobs?
Well, cybersecurity right now has 512 different occupations.
Wow.
And the irony of it is it's across multiple industries because there's cybersecurity in everything. You go to healthcare, they have a whole group of jobs related to healthcare. You go to social service, they have jobs related to that. You have cybersecurity jobs in manufacturing because wherever you have a piece of technology, technology can be hacked. And cybersecurity people do one or two things. They either protect you from getting hacked, or once you get hacked, they get you put back together.
Back
So
together.
Oh,
depending upon what side, whether you're on the offensive side or whether you're on the defensive side, there are always opportunities for you. Now,
What kind
some of the
of what,
jobs are very
what kind of what
esoteric, and
kind
I'll
of
give you one.
Let me ask you a question. What kind of mind would decide whether you'd be a protector or someone that would take exactly what kind of mind would be either or? What kind of person would that
It
be?
depends on what you like to do. And I'll give you a good example. I have one young lady, she is what they call a firewall auditor.
Okay.
Firewalls prevent things from coming into your computer.
Okay.
So what she does for a living all day long, she monitors firewalls for corporations to make sure that the firewall is set up properly, that it's programmed appropriately so that they're
mm,
not being hacked. Now, she sits here in Detroit and technically works in Virginia. So she works remote. She's been remote for the last 3 or 4 years. She does this all over the world. So she meets people all over the world. But she is what I call a extreme techie. She likes to do the little programming. She likes to talk to people about the programming. And she really is not around a lot of people other than when she's corresponding with them to see what's wrong. So
Okay.
she likes to be solo. It
Inter-
works for her.
Okay.
For
Okay.
somebody who's extroverted for like me, oh no,
Yeah.
I can't be in that job long. I can do it, but I ain't gonna be there long. I got to go with the people.
So what would
So
be
it
a job?
depends
What
on
would
your
be a job for an
personality.
extroverted person in cyber? Like you said, there was 512. I didn't even know
Well,
that.
there's a lot of policy. A lot of us do a lot of writing. We do a lot of policy discussions because there's always things happening. I use a good example. When Amazon Web Services a couple years ago, its Eastern Seaboard went down. That means
I
all
remember
of the
that.
companies that are on Amazon Web Services were down. Well, there is a whole team that brought them back up. And they work as a team and they work like a football team. They work in unison and they were able to get the system back up, reprogram all the technology, boot all the things that weren't working on it, and get them back up. Well, once that happens, that was the first time that it ever happened in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Somebody has to document that stuff. What happened? What went wrong? What went right? What do we need to do if that happens again? And those people do all the writing and corresponding to make sure that we have some protocols of how that's a whole different person. That person tends to be a good communicator. They tend to be a good writer because just because you're a techie, people think that you shouldn't write. Well, and right in the tech industry, we do a lot of writing because we deal with a lot of first and we have to document those first. So we've had a few people who have a communication degree who've come in and got their little cybersecurity certificate and certification, and now they went back into the industry to do all that documentation. So it's across a multiplicity of places. So what we tell our learners, we don't start learners over. We take you from where you are, decide if you like the career you're in, how we're going to build a cybersecurity certification around your current career, and then turn you back into the industry where you left.
Okay.
Like a good example, one of my guys, he's made 81,000 and he's responsible for the first robotic Little Caesars.
How
He
about
left food service.
that's
And he
cool.
said to me he loves food service. I says, well, we're going to wrap it with the technology and you're going to take technology back into food service. So he's still in the food service industry. He's doing what he loves, but now he's added a new love, and that new love is technology. And
Wow.
so that actual restaurant is very technological. The pizza's made by a robot. It puts the pizza in a robot for you to take it out. I mean, it's a very robotic restaurant. So those type of opportunities do exist across multiplicity of industries because, as I said, there's technology everywhere. And so the issue is, where do you want to be and where do you want to go? You want to stay in your industry, you can do that and just add technology to it. Or if you decide I want to do a different industry and go do something different, it's really
Mm.
up to you. But the core of it is having the skills. And one of the things about cybersecurity is one of those functions that a robot cannot replace.
Right.
A
That's
robot can't replace it because there are too many hacks that have never happened before that once they happen, now we have to start a scratch and do something different. And
wow.
so you're always going to need people because you're having newfound things happening all the time. And the only thing that computers are good at, they're good at replicating. They're not good at the first time. So the first time something happens, you're not going to send a computer to fix it because it has no knowledge. It only has knowledge after it's done things multiple times. So it requires bodies. And so the reason why we focus on cybersecurity is because we know that it's always going to need people. And as long as you have have Indians and Asians and Russian hackers, you're always going to need cybersecurity. It's
Why are
just
they what do they
it's
do when
easy.
they're hacking? I mean, they're hacking and what are they doing with all this hacking? Could you explain that to maybe to people? I know we're going deep in it, but
What you mean
Sometimes
hacking? They taking your
some
personal information, bro. What you
yeah,
mean? What they doing?
yeah, I know,
They
but
got
what's
control of
what are they
you. They
doing?
now
What are
they
they
now are Mike
doing with
Mitch.
that? No, I mean really,
well,
what we
some of it
all
is
worry about
not
how we get.
always
I mean, what are they really
sometimes it's not
doing?
always hacking.
Yeah.
Hacking means I'm going into a computer and I'm manipulating the computer's data to get access to private information. But I can tell you, but most of the cybersecurity breaches are not due to hacking. They are due to carelessness of people. Because
Okay.
people unfortunately do some of the dumbest things ever.
Yeah.
Like case in point. I'm sitting at a Starbucks not too far from the General Motors Tech Center. And as I'm sitting in the Starbucks, I'm just picking. So I go on the network and see somebody sitting the ways down from me on a General Motors computer on Starbucks Wi Fi. Why are you on a public Wi Fi with a private
Asking
computer?
for it. He just asking
You
for it.
asking for me to steal General Motors information.
Yeah.
And so I lean over to the young lady and says, get off. And she goes, get off of what? The Wi-Fi. I am getting ready to burrow into your computer. Why are you even on the Wi-Fi anyway? Right? But people do that because they don't understand the risks that they are, that I
So
could
the
go
so
as
the
a
VP,
person.
so their own personal VPN
That's what
wouldn't
I'm
work
talking
if somebody was
about.
trying to hack.
Zoo.
Yeah, but they weren't on a personal VPN. They were on a public Wi-Fi.
Oh,
And people do it all the time. They do it at airports. They do it at train stations. They do it at hotels. Like I'm on a hotel right now. Most people are on the Wi-Fi. So if I really want to really know what's going on with people, I could go on the Wi-Fi and look at every computer in this hotel. And hackers
wow.
do that all the time. So a lot of times they're not going in and taking information from you. All we doing is we going in and looking. We looking to see what opportunity. Because at the end of the day, hackers are trying to make money. And they go where people have money. So if you're sitting at a hotel, a very expensive hotel, and I can look into your computer and see what's on your system, then I could put a little bug on your little system and track you and see what you're doing. And
And
then
check
when
your
you get
wallet
ready to
out.
go do, and
Check
I could
that
do all of
wallet out.
that. I could do all of that right on the computer. And so I tell people you have to be cognizant. If you're going to use Wi-Fi, make sure that when you go do banking information, you're not on Wi-Fi. You get off the computer. You go on your own private VPN on your cell phone that has a little protection. But a lot of times we're not hacking. What we're doing is we're observing because people do some dumb stuff.
Right, right.
Right.
That was
Bottom
that,
line.
that was
Knowledge.
that was so street and so corporate and so cyber. Thank you. And you know what? Before we go, I have to tell you one thing as well. Your glasses are fabulous.
Thank you.
I ain't never
Thank
seen
you.
some of
Thank
them
you.
ones. The sharp. Where'd you get those? Tell us about your glasses. Yeah, if you, for those on YouTube, you can see them, but you can't hear it on Spotify. Her glasses are so sharp. Talk about them.
I'm frugal. Even though I like to make money, I'm pretty frugal. So I go to this site called Xenia Optical, Zenni Optical. They should become a sponsor too, because I buy a lot of glasses from them.
Come on now.
And the glasses are dirt cheap. You know, you go in there, they do a little AI so you can try the glasses on the website, and so they fit right, and you order them and then they send them to you. They don't cost much. So this little pair of glasses, but I love them, was all
Yeah.
of $50. 50
See,
what?
oh now see, I'm into the glasses thing too, and
$50.
those look real sharp. You know what I'm saying? So,
Thank you,
so
thank you,
thank you
thank
for
you.
sharing that. Say that one more time. That place for glasses.
Xenia Optical, Zenni Optical. And
There
they're
we go.
online. And I tell people, not sharing all my business. I wear bifocals. So for me to get a pair of glasses for $50 and they're bifocals, I thought that was pretty great.
It is pretty.
I
So if
know that's
you
right.
can, that is one. Now you've been doing great. We've got only like wow. We've been so. It's been amazing. Learning about you and your wonderful past. So if you could just tell us right now, we know that you have the institution, but if you could tell everyone like what are your future goals and what are you working on right now, and if there was somebody that you could recommend to be on the zoo, who would that be?
My future goals is that when we started this business, my goal was to educate 100,000 learners. So that would put me at the size of the University of Michigan
Mm.
or 4 times the size of Stanford University. So
Mhm.
that's kind of where we're going and we're gunning for it. Um, at the end of the day, what I would like to be able to see is as many as 10 million people using our apps because we figure that if everybody has a positive mentality, number one, poverty will go away
Right.
because poverty is man-made, it's created, it's an element of mindset of scarcity. And
Mhm.
when you eliminate scarcity, that goes away. So that's the second thing that we're trying to do. If I had to have a guest that would come on board, and I don't want to sound like I'm being political, but I am going to be political because I learned from my mentor that politics is business and business is politics. They are intertwined.
Mhm.
I would have Hill Harper on your show. He's trying to
Come
pull
on.
off being another senator, which means he's following in the footsteps of President Obama because we forget he was a senator first.
Yeah.
And you need those people to manage the budget. We forget that the federal budget is about 7 to 9 trillion, depending upon the year. That money is doled out somewhere, but a lot of that money never comes to the Black community because it's never delivered to us. And so you
Mm.
need people who understand when you're going into the federal government that their job is to bring home that bacon
It
or
is.
chicken or fish or whatever you want to call it. Because that's how we live, that's how we spend, that's how our communities grow. That comes out of the federal government. So you need people who are going to deliver that back to the Black community and who are open. And so right now, I know he's looking for votes and
Yeah.
we are looking for money. So that's a happy medium.
You know what? We would absolutely be, I would be, Dub, I think we could do that.
Yeah. Also, I would like to talk to you probably like off the record, but I have a project that's with Earl Lloyd, which is the first Black NBA player to play in the NBA in 1950, and it's kind of
Oh,
like they
wow.
kind of
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of like they're trying to erase his history. So I
Yeah.
might want to talk to you a little bit about that. And he played in Detroit. He also was the first Black basketball coach as well in Detroit, and he worked with I think is Chrysler for 15, 20 years or something like that. But definitely doing a project with him. Would like to know some direction to go with that with your expertise if I could.
I'm surprised you didn't go back and reach out to the retired NBA players.
I did. We working through them right now, but working with the NBA is kind of difficult sometimes. You know what I mean? They want to
Yeah,
take
but
all your
but the local
ideas.
ground people, yeah, but
Right.
the local ground people tend to be open. I know in 2017, we had an event at the North American International Auto Show,
Mhm.
and both the retired NBA and the retired NFL were partners. And
Mhm.
they were
Okay.
wonderful to work with. I was just really impressed. They
Yeah,
just
that's the
rolled out the
that's the,
red
that's the
carpet
P
for us.
that's the PA though. That's the NFL
Yeah,
and NBA PA, and that's not the NBA though.
hmm,
But you're absolutely right.
exactly.
But
You know
thank you
what?
so
This is great. We want to, Kira, I want to thank you, man, for hooking us up today with Miss Ida. Miss Ida, this has been a tremendous, like you the foundation. And Dub, I knew that when you guys met, that you have some, we all have some very similar things in common. But I know that some of the projects that my partner is working on with the Earl Lloyd and some of the crypto things that we're all working on, we could definitely talk and build some more because I'm really, really impressed with your organization. I'm so
most
impressed
definitely.
with your diligence, the way that you do things. And you know what's funny that when you had said that even before, we would love to help you out and Mr. Harper in any way and form. And when the thing that you had said that before you even said that, I was like, were you gonna go into politics? Because it kind of feels like that you have that that strength.
That persona, yeah.
No, no.
He said, nah.
Now,
But
I
political.
would never go into politics, but
Yeah.
I did have a mentor that when I first came to Detroit sat me down and said, you know what? Business is politics and politics is business. And if
Mhm.
you can't get something you want in the business world, go float a law and go into the political world and get your business done. And that's what I've done. So, but for me to be a politician, no, I can't do that. I'm a businesswoman. I like
Absolutely.
You
getting
know what? It
business. I
seems
like
like it
generating
seems like
revenue.
the life flow that you have had has been a wonderful one, and you've been able to use education throughout the whole process.
Yeah, man. She
know,
bad.
you know how to take education from the projects where people laughed at you when you told them that you was gonna be Richie Rich. When you said ha 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 ha, and then you looked up, you had it. When you've been writing things down on your vision board, and you've been teaching people about your vision board, and then people coming to you and joining your institution and doubling their salary, and then becoming competitive with each other.
Man.
And not only going to Michigan and then going to Detroit and then growing with the wealth management and writing your books, KISS, for the things at home, and walking across the street and telling the thugs, hey, man, this is your neighborhood, and bringing this together. And then even going on further and further, your dynamics in Essence Magazine with Oprah and just all the wonderful things that you've been doing. Miss Hill, we appreciate you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
You know what I'm saying? With everything that you do in your Kellogg and your research, and it's brilliant. And we would absolutely love to help you in any capacity. And thank you so much for putting a fire out there to everyone that's listening. Black families, we do need education, and we have to get away from being afraid of going in technology. And we also have to stop pointing our fingers at each other who want to be better. I think that mentality is dead. That old slavery on each other.
And then I'm gonna put a fire underneath people because it put a fire underneath me.
Yes.
Because the world think of us in a certain way. When I was 8 years old, I went to a gifted school one day a week. I had just got there. Mind you, I'm 8 years old. I'm in the third grade. And my white male teacher said something that stayed with me for the rest of my life. He said, if you want to hide something, they called us Negroes back then. If you want to hide something from a Negro, put it in a book, put it in their face, and they will never see it.
Mm.
And I said to myself right then in third grade at 8 years old, that will never be me.
Right.
So I've made a promise to myself that I will read a book a week, every week for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Some weeks I read 3, 4, 5 books. Why?
Yeah.
Because you're not ever going to hide anything from me. That's what education does. It opens the door to the whole world for you. So I say to people, don't be that Negro that they're going to put something in a book, put it in your face, and then now you can't find it and it's in your face. Because there's a reason why they don't want you to see it. So when there's a reason why people don't want you to see it, then that's when you should crack open that book and say, let me see what's in this book or why they don't want me to have it.
Hey, man, that's
Absolutely.
right now. Thank you
Game changer there.
Hey, we are right here. Look, I don't want to go, but we are already in overtime, and we have had a brilliant day. Hey, check this out.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Miss
so
Hill.
much. Thank you so much, Miss Hill. Could you let everybody know?
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're so welcome. Could you let everybody know one more time where they can get to your website and join you?
Yes, we're at autoworkz.org, and that's AUTOWORKZ as in zebra.org.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Right.
Now, is there any other social media that you'd like to give?
You know, we're on all the social media, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us. We're everywhere. So just plug into one of those and reach out to us.
You heard it right now. We have the person that is going to create the next Harvard, ladies and gentlemen, for us right here on I'm from the Zoo. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care, fam.
I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. No. Remix. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. Can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right. Every time I walk, I'm an algorithm. Move the cosmos with the street rhythm. Slide in the spaceship to the day. Everything we touch makes history. My vibe's so great, it's an energy. That's why you can't stress me. Now I'm a player with the highest degree. So let's connect and grow the family. You got the I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress. You got the Romeos and gorillas. I'm a CEO who's the realest. I make the world flip like a Britney pick. Fam, just tell me what's your endeavor. I'm all about my cheddar. I'm the elephant who remembers. We north, south, we east, us. Got the best weed, got the best cars, houses and stars. All in the studios, drop the greatest bars. Yeah. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress right now. No, whoa, whoa. I can't stress, I can't stress, I can't stress, I